Karin Fischer. This is 10 Minutes to Inspire. So welcome, Anu Duggal.
Thank you.
To Tech.Emotion, 10 Minutes to Inspire.
Thank you so much for having me.
So can you please tell us a little bit about yourself, maybe sharing which is the greatest undertaking that defines you?
Thanks so much for having me. By way of background, I am Indian. I grew up all over, so have lived in 12 different cities, from Hong Kong and Tokyo to London, Paris, and now consider New York to be home. The undertaking that I think best defines me is actually what I'm doing right now. It's the business that I have spent the longest time in, a decade, so 10 years, and that I'm the most proud of, in the sense that it is both a endeavor that I think, from a monetary standpoint is obviously, generating great returns, but I think more importantly is making an impact on an industry. And so, I think the fact that I get to meet and invest behind some of the leading entrepreneurs, across the United States that are women is amazing, and, never fails to excite or amaze me in terms of the businesses that they are building.
For me, it's great to hear about that. In Italy, we're still needing to be inspired by people like you, and that's why we're so glad to have the chance of having you here. And if you've been traveling a lot, you've been meeting lots of people, but if you had to think about someone or something that has inspired you the most in life.
Someone, that's a good question. I think, there are so many different female role models. I met Serena Williams a few years ago. I was lucky enough to be at the same conference as her, and meeting her in person, she was so lovely, so kind, so warm. And, I recently finished the film about her childhood, and just reflecting on what she went through from such a young age to get to where she has, for me was such a, there's just so few people in the world who have that drive and that determination, and as a woman as well. And so, she's gone on to do amazing things, but it was really a magical moment.
Right. And do you think that it's been challenges that have, and difficulties, maybe failures that have shaped you the most?
I think, as an entrepreneur, challenges and failures are part of the journey. It's very rare not to have that. I think for me, what has been instrumental, and we have this motto at work called gentle persistence.
Wow,
like that. The idea is that no is never no. It's just no for now. And whether you're trying to raise money from capital from someone, or you're trying to find a sponsor, or you're trying to get into a deal, you just have to keep persisting and find a way. And so, when I look back at what we've accomplished, it's really based on that sheer determination, to keep going.
I like this thing of gentle persistent. Do you think it's something connected to a more woman leadership style?
Not necessarily. I think it's more about understanding that to get what you want, the answer is never going to be yes immediately. And so if that's the case, then you have to keep finding ways to be relevant and keep coming back. And so I think when I look back at, some of the investors that we got, or some of the people who come to speak at our events, it's been every year we go back to them and we say, we'd love to have you, or we'd love for you to invest. And it's never the first time, second time, sometimes the third, but sometimes the fourth. So a lot of people give up after the first, and they say, okay, no is no. But I think in my team, there's definitely that feeling that, we have to find a way.
And that brings us very nicely to what would be the other question is, what wakes you up in the morning?
So what am I most excited about in the morning, or
what drives you, really kicks you up?
I love my job. So, I feel so grateful and blessed that I've found something that is really compelling. I think a lot of people in the world do not enjoy going to work, and I can't imagine that reality. And so, sometimes you have to make it for yourself, which is what I did, but but it's really a gift to wake up and feel like you're working with a team that that you love and that you're doing work that is meaningful, but also, has a bigger purpose in the world.
Yeah. What is your talent if you had to describe it?
So never giving up. So resilience, grit, you can call it that. I would say also connecting people. So that's something that, I kind of do naturally and I enjoy it. And I think being able to look a little bit ahead in terms of seeing things that maybe aren't obvious immediately.
Okay, well, it has an amazing fit with the Emotion Network. So we're so glad of having you here because that's what we try to do all the time,
Yeah.
And that is great. How do you see Italy and its potential?
So, I'll be honest, I haven't spent a ton of time in Italy, but I think that there's so much inherent culture and there's so much value in the culture and the craft here. And I think as the world is moving away from, in some senses, AI and technology is driving so much momentum and growth. But I also think there's this movement towards things that are more sensory and craft. And so, I think Italy is so well positioned in that sense where you have these beautiful brands, you have an appreciation for art. And so I think there's a lot of potential in terms of, what can be built here.
And no, we're glad to hear that in the sense that one of the scopes of our activity is really to allow people to get to know Italy a little bit more. So the opportunity of organizing a summit and having conversations with outstanding entrepreneurs like you give us also the chance to put a spotlight on Italy and really know a little bit more.
Of course.
So we hope that's gonna work. And listen, it's been amazing having this conversation.
Yes.
Thank you for being with us.
Of course. Likewise, thank you for having me.
So this was 10 Minutes to Inspire, a Tech.Emotion podcast.